Judge Nancy, you on mute.
I'm sorry, I thought I clicked it off. Ms. Baker? All right, I'll go ahead and give the order. It is a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial. 1,000 on each of the charges, on each of the 5 charges. And I'm going to order for Ms. Hines to stay compliant with her treatment and on her medication as part of the bond conditions. No unprescribed medication, drugs, alcohol, nor weapons while on bond. And as far as the contact with Ms. Baker, was it no further or just no further violent?
It's no further violent. Not, we want them to continue to have contact.
All right, and no further violent contact with Ms. Baker. I don't know if she stepped away or.
She should be here. Miss Baker, if you can, okay, great. There you are.
All right. So did you hear that, Ms. Baker?
Yes, can you please repeat it? I'm sorry, I'm running errands and dealing with Saturday stuff.
All right, so she is going to get a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. And that will be $1,000 on each of the charges. She is to have no further violent contact with you. She is to stay compliant on her treatment and medication while on bond, and no unprescribed medication, drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Okay, so hopefully she'll do well. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Baker, for attending.
All right, thank you.
ACDC, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Judge Vinci. This is going to be position number 1.
Okay.
And if you could read her rights, thank you.
And ACDC, really quickly, is there any chance that you could, that Kaya Hammonds is over there at the ACDC side?
Say the name again.
Kaya Hammonds. I can put the booking number in the chat, if that will help.
Yes, please do.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And this is Joy, is it Anababa? I'm not sure I pronounced the last name, so I apologize. Okay. All right. I'm sorry you did not hear the reading of your rights. You do have a right to counsel. You should know who your attorney is by now, PD Abden. And also you have a right to remain silent. Remember that anything that you state about the facts and circumstances or the occurrences of your case can and will be held against you. The state is here and they're listening, so follow the lead of your attorney. And the SAP reset date is February the 13th. I have 25 CR 0000511Y charged with 1 count of battery, family violence, and a 2nd count of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Pre-trial.
4th, 2009, Frey. 2010 vice charge dismissed.
Okay. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened January 31st, 2025 at around 3 a.m. at 2125 DeForest Ferry Road, Northwest in Atlanta. Jaderick Harden stated he was trying to re-enter the residence where he and the defendant lived together, but she had locked him out. He then struck the front door, broke the glass to get in. The defendant struck him in the head with a broomstick. The defendant had a swollen bump on his forehead, and the defendant's child, ES, was present and observed the incident. As you've heard, she has 3 cycles, 2 convictions, 1 a Frey conviction in 2010 and a prostitution conviction in 2010. We are agreeable to a signature bond through pretrial services, 2-day anger awareness, no further contact with Jaderick Harden, stay away from 2125 DeForest Ferry Road, Northwest in Atlanta, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. DFACS did respond to the location, so we're asking that she also comply with any DFACS recommendations. That's all for the state. And we would like to sound for Mr. Jaderick Harden if he is here.
All right, Mr. Jaderick Harden. so. All right, go ahead, PD Abden.
Thanks. My client she's 38 years old. She has been living in Georgia for over 20 years. She does have a child and also that lives with her and a daughter in college. She's self-employed, and staying in jail would impact her financial situation and her ability to take care of her child. From the reading of the affidavit for arrest, Your Honor, it does seem to me like my client was in fear, was trying to not allow this person in because she was in fear for her and her child. It was at 3 a.m. It's my understanding that they're not in a relationship. They are roommates. They don't know each other very well. And my client was just trying to protect her and her child. And so I am going to ask that she be allowed to return to the residence. She doesn't have anywhere else to go with her child. And they do need to resolve this, in a dispossessory court about who should be there and who not. But for now, I will ask that she be allowed to return.
And Your Honor, I would question why she would want to return to her residence where the person she is apparently very afraid of, according to PD Abden, is still residing.
So it's my understanding that he's residing with family nearby and not actually at the address. So maybe she can return with a law enforcement escort and to see if he's there. And if not, she can go back with her kid.
The state's agreeable to that. If a one-time law enforcement escort to see if Mr. Hardin is present at the residence, and if he's no longer present, she can regain residency there.
And aside from that, she does deny the allegations, and we have no objection to the signature bond through pretrial.
Okay. All right, you can let her know this is not the time to talk.
Yeah, and I'm just going to ask that you exercise your right to remain silent at this time and just let the judge let us know what she decided regarding the bond.
Okay. All right, I will order a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, which will be $2,000 on the battery, $1,000 on the cruelty. With that, the 2-day anger awareness course, which is free through pretrial. And I will order the one-time law enforcement escort to go back to the property at 2125 DeForest Ferry. They will sweep that property, and as long as Mr. Hardin is not there, then she and the child can stay there. But she must go back first with law enforcement so that they can sweep the property and make sure. And that's actually for your safety as well, believe it or not, Miss.
I believe it. I believe it, but it's my home. He's the guest.
Well, but he's at that address, so you have to understand we have to be careful, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
For everybody's safety, to be honest.
That's true. He has nothing there. That's why everything, I'm surprised of the whole case and all the allegations, which will go fight. My stuff were in the
Miss
property.
Ananeva, I'm just going to ask you to please remain silent. I don't want you to say anything that's going to impact you negatively moving forward. Thank you.
All right, speak to your attorney and she will give you some advice on how to handle the matter going forward. And while you're on bond, I'm going to order, and state, did you request no further contact with Mr. Hardin?
I did.
Okay, no further contact with Mr. Hardin. No drugs, unprescribed medication, alcohol, or guns or weapons while on bond. And I think that's it. Anything else?
What level is this, Judge?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is level 1. And that should be it.
And Judge, you said it was a 3,000 SOB through pretrial, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Position number 2, Mr. Atkins.
All right. 25 CR 00512C, Adrian Atkins, charged with 1 count of. Oh, ACDC, can you mute yourself? All right, he's charged with 1 count of DUI less safe, 2nd count of DUI per se, and a 3rd count of speeding. Pre-trial.
First arrest, resident of Montgomery, Alabama. Jail is the recommendation.
State.
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation on this case is well, let me start with the facts first. The incident happened January 30th, 2025 at South Fulton Parkway. The defendant was driving 80 to 81 in a 55. The defendant was pulled over. The officer observed bloodshot, droopy eyes, odor of alcoholic beverage, conducted FST. At that time, the officer determined he was intoxicated, read the defendant implied consent, which the defendant agreed to. And according to the Intox 9000, the defendant was 0.110 over the legal limit. This is the first arrest. The defendant does not have a driver's history that we could locate. We are agreeable to a $6,500 split bond, $3,000 on the DUI per se, $3,000 on the DUI less safe, $500 surety on the speeding, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
And you said split?
Yes, Your Honor. There is a DUI less safe and a DUI per se. We are agreeable to $3,000 surety on the DUI per se, $500 surety on the speeding, and $3,000 signature on the less safe.
Okay.
And that can be through the jail.
Gotcha. All right, PD admin.
And you said, so it's a surety bond, not a signature bond through pretrial. Did I hear you correctly?
That
Okay.
is correct.
Okay, thank you. So he is 31 years old, Your Honor. As you've heard, this is his first arrest. Although he used to be a resident of Alabama, he does reside here in Georgia now. For the past few months, he moved here for work. He's a patient care technician. He did provide me with a Georgia address, which I can put privately in the chat. If you guys want to update that, he will return to court. He does understand his obligation to deal with this case, but I am asking that Your Honor consider a signature bond through pretrial services. I understand because of the nature of the charge, we can't do it through the jail, but I'm just going to ask that Your Honor consider that.
All right, I will not do the split bond, but just do the signature bond for 6,500 SOB jail, which would be 3,000 on each of the DUIs and 500 on the speeding. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond, and no driving unless he has a valid license and insurance.
And Judge Mincy, was that through pretrial services, correct?
Oh, it's
Because it's bail
DUI.
restricted.
I was saying
Right.
things in my brain. So I'm sorry, it'll have to be SOB pretrial services, not jail. Sorry. And that'll be at level 1.
Thank you.
And I believe that's it. Anything else?
Nothing else from
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
No, position number 5, Mr. Gibson.
Was there, I'm sorry, Judge, was there any other conditions on Mr. Atkins? Just no drugs, no alcohol, and no
Oh, I
driving?
said no driving unless he has a valid license.
Valid license.
Okay, thanks.
Who is this?
5 Gibson 25 CR 0000515F Kashif Gibson, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, 2nd count of willful obstruction.
5th arrest, 2024 DUI, suspended license conviction. 2023, couple of probations. 2023 simple assault, no low.
All right.
This happened January 31st, 2025 at 11:50 a.m. at the Marriott Marquis at 265 Peachtree Center Avenue in Atlanta. Defendant was asked to leave because he was disturbing guests. Defendant refused to leave and refused to provide his name. The defendant was arrested and charged with criminal trespass. None of his prior convictions were for criminal trespass, and he has no FTA, so he is qualified for a signature bond. We are agreeable to a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial services. That would be $500 per count. Stay away from 265 Peachtree Center Avenue in Atlanta, the Marriott Marquis. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and we're agreeable to that as a level 1. That's all for the state.
Judge, you could do it level 2. That was a recommendation.
Okay.
Oh, I apologize, Mr. Howard. I did miss that. Level 2.
All right, any objection to the signature bond through pretrial, PD Apple?
No objection to a signature bond. I would ask that Your Honor do consider doing that through the jail. After speaking with my client without going too much into the facts, it's my understanding that he was at the Marriott to book a room. He was standing in line when the security officer called him offline and insinuated that he was homeless and disturbing. My client does deny that, and he complied with their instructions to go outside to speak with the supervisor, but then they called the police. So this was a misunderstanding, as I understand as he related to me, and he would be okay with a no further contact. He does give a good mailing address, and so I'm just going to ask that Your Honor consider doing that through the jail.
He has a little history there. I would prefer to do it through pretrial. I would keep up with him. So I'll give the 1,000 signature bond through pretrial. Level 2, 500 on each charge. Stay away from the Marriott Marquis 225 Peachtree. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I believe that's it.
Your Honor, the Marriott Marquis address is 265 Peachtree Center Avenue.
Oh, 265 Peachtree Center Avenue.
And
Thank you.
is there a no contact provision?
No.
He doesn't go there.
Just want to make
Correct.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Number 7, Costello.
$25 CR 0000521F, Xavier Postel, charged with 1 count of driving, fleeing or eluding police, 2nd count of reckless driving, 3rd count driving while license suspended or revoked, 4th count no insurance, and 5th count driving unexpired or no license plate or decal. Pretrial.
This is 4th arrest. He got an open battery in state court, open possession of a firearm during a commission in Superior Court, open entering auto in Superior Court, and an open possession of cocaine in Superior Court. I didn't see any driving history.
Okay. State.
This happened January 30th, 2025 at around 11:22 p.m. at Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. The officer observed the defendant at the intersection with Larkwood Road, checked his tag of his 2021 Toyota Camry, which returned with expired registration, no insurance, and a suspended license. The defendant also had active FTA warrants from Fulton County. The officer pulled over the defendant, and when the officer exited the vehicle and began approaching the car, the defendant pulled off at a high rate of speed, crossed double yellow lines, weaved in and out of traffic, and ran several red lights. The officer during this time had his lights and sirens activated. A GCIC NCIC check matched the defendant and gave an address. The following, like going into the next morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, they went to that address on a mall drive, observed the vehicle, detained the defendant who admitted to fleeing from them. The defendant currently has these 4 open cases. One, he was given a $5,000 surety bond by Judge Hughes on June 17th of last year. The second one, he was given a $7,000 surety bond on June 17th by Judge Hughes. The third case, which is the 2022 SC case, was a $5,000 surety bond on January 21st, 2022 by Judge Hughes. And then the fourth case, the 23 CR case in state court, he was given a $4,500 surety bond on December 8th, 2023 by Judge Law. The defendant also has FTAs on 2 of his open cases, which he was booked in on when he was booked in on all of our charges, which is the 224 PI cases that are open. Based on the fact that he's got 4 open cases all running currently at the same time, and 2 of them he FTA'd on, the state, and the fact that he fled from police, which put individuals in danger because he was weaving in and out of traffic, driving at high rates of speed, and running through red lights, we are asking for a $25,000 surety bond. That's going to be $5,000 per each charge, no driving under any circumstance, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
PD Coleman.
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Postel. He is 27 years of age, a lifelong resident of Atlanta, Fulton County. Mr. Postel is a high school graduate. He states to me that he's been employed at Piedmont Warehouse for the last 3 months. He is the father of a 1-year-old child. I would remind the court at this time that these are just allegations against Mr. Postel. In addition, he's before the court on nonviolent offenses. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
Your Honor, the offenses may be nonviolent, but they are definitely a danger to the community.
Well, he's had so many opportunities at signature bonds and he's made all the bonds and each time he comes back with another. I'm very concerned about that. And all the bonds said obviously do not commit any other crimes. I'm going to do a surety bond.
And Your Honor, just to clarify, all of his previous bonds were surety bonds, and
Yes.
2 of the cases he now has FTAs. So I think you said
Usually I'm
signature
inclined
bonds,
to
so
do
I just wanted to,
cash.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify. And the state's great with cash. We love cash bonds on this kind of case.
He seems to continue to make bond. I'm going to do a $5,000 cash bond, which will be 1,000 on each charge, 1,000 cash, due to the terrible history. Going to order him obviously to not drive a vehicle. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I guess that's it, 5,000 cash.
For the record, we think that that's kind of excessive for the charges that are before the court at this time.
All right, thank you.
Position number 11, Thomas.
Courtroom 2, I put in the chat, I'm looking for Kaya Hammond. ACDC said she was over there at the jail. Is there a way she could be brought down? I put her booking number into the chat.
She's not at the jail. She's at ACDC. She was transported this morning.
Okay, ACDC said she was still over at the jail, so I was just double checking. It seems to maybe be a little confusion there.
She might be. Let me go double check.
Okay, thank you.
This is 11.
Yes, position 11, Thomas.
All right. 25 CR 000-518Y. Devontae Thomas, charged with 1 count of willful obstruction, 2nd count of simple battery against police officer or corrections or detention officer.
Fifth arrest on probation in Superior Court for theft by taking. 2024 FTA, 2022 probation. 2021 battery DV conviction. That's it.
State.
This happened January 31st, 2025 at 119 Meadow Court in Fairburn. Officers responded to address a verbal argument between family members. They spoke to Darrell Napoleon, Patricia Thomas, who's the mom of the defendant, and Joseph Thomas, who's the brother of the defendant. According to the report, they collectively stated the defendant was causing problems, being disrespectful to the members of the household. They had asked him to leave, and then they called the police to try to get him to leave voluntarily. Miss Thomas, the mother of the defendant, escorted the officer to the garage where the defendant was. According to the information we have, the defendant refused to leave, claiming he needed to find his phone. He kept trying to close the garage, the door to the garage in the officer's face while arguing with Miss Thomas. The officer then stuck his foot in the door to try to hold the door open so he could maintain visual of the defendant. The defendant then grabbed the officer's arm and shoulder with both hands and tried to forcibly move him. At that point, the officer pushed off the defendant, drew his taser. Another officer arrived as backup, and when they tried to place him under arrest, the defendant pushed the officer and the other officer that arrived as backup. At that point, the officers tased him and placed him under arrest, and he was transported to Piedmont Noonan Hospital. As you heard, the defendant has a family violence battery conviction out of Coweta, theft by taking misdemeanor in 2024 from Fulton that was downgraded from a robbery, and a January 2nd, 2024 FTA. He also has a probation revocation from 2022 where he was revoked 6 days in Coweta as well. The bond is currently set at $5,000 surety for this defendant. We agreed that the bond should remain as set with no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no further violent contact with Darrell Napoleon, Patricia Thomas, and Joseph Thomas. That's all for the state.
You said the current bond is 5,000 surety?
That is correct. 2,500 is to each charge.
Okay. All right. PD Coleman, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond from Mr. Thomas. He is 32 years of age. He does have an address here in Atlanta, Fulton County. I don't believe that he is a flight risk despite the prior FTA. He is a high school graduate. He is not working, therefore he has no money to post for bond. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf for a low bond.
I will leave the bond at the 5,000 surety, 2,500 on each. I'm going to order that he stay away from 119 Meadow Court. Was that in Fairburn?
That was in Fairburn, Your Honor. That is correct.
Okay. No further contact with his mother and brother, Miss Thomas, and
right. No further violent contact with the names are as follows. It is Darrell Napoleon, Patricia Thomas, and Joseph Thomas.
And are we no further violent and no further?
No further violent.
Okay, no further violent contact, but he is to stay away from the 119 Meadow Court.
That is correct.
All right, no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And that's it. We have left 3.
I think 3 and 11. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. 3 and 8.
And 3 was a waiver. I submitted a waiver of appearance.
And 8 was also a waiver.
Oh, okay.
Before we move on to the waivers of appearance, can I just ask courtroom 2 if they were able to locate Ms. Hammonds? If not, I can
search for her now. She had to go to the other side of the jail for intake.
Okay, so we can do the waivers in the meantime while we're waiting if the court is okay with that.
Okay, yeah.
Who is Hammond though? I didn't see that name.
Kaya Hammond is a bind over case.
Oh,
She's
okay.
set for the February 11th SAP, but the state was agreeable to a signature bond.
Hammond just walked in. Come on.
Okay, I was just wondering because I know I didn't see it.
Oh, well, there she is.
There she is. Oh, I see now the add-on is just coming through.
They sent the add-on through. Thank you.
All right, let's see.
And Your Honor, just to put on the record, Mr. Coleman, PD Coleman and PD Abden did not have a conversation with Ms. Hammond, but I wanted the court to see if she would be willing to waive an attorney because the state is agreeable to a signature bond through pretrial services.
All right, Miss Hammond, this is case number 25 CR 0000520A, and you're charged with 1 count of simple battery. And your case is just added on to the calendar. Are you willing to go forward without counsel? I'm not going to ask you much at all because the state is consenting to give you a signature bond to be let out of jail today.
Yes, ma'am, that's fine.
That's fine, okay. And so give me the amount again, state.
Your Honor, the current bond was 2,500 surety bond. The state is agreeing to a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 1. The conditions are no further contact with Aaliyah Finaze, Phinaze. Stay away from 7501 Red Oak Road in Union City. 2 days anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. The defendant only has one prior cycle, which was a 2024 arrest for family violence battery out of Rockdale County. And just briefly, this was an argument between her and another individual, Aaliyah Finesse, at Heaven Shells. At a group home that was observed by Heaven Shells, who was at that group home as well. There was an argument between the two. They began yelling at each other, and then there was a physical altercation.
Okay. And I'm not for sure. I think you just came into the courtroom, Ms. Hammond. You have the right to remain silent, and anything that you state about the facts and circumstances of your case can and will be used against you. So I suggest you exercise that right to remain silent, and then I can enter an order with the signature bond. Okay.
She was asking was she allowed to go back to the home?
Good question. It sounds like there's some turmoil there. I don't know if you have anywhere else to go stay. You don't. And Deputy Falk, have you spoken to anyone from there?
I have not. It appears that these are in units, like unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. So we don't disagree with a just a no further contact with Aaliyah Finesse. She can go back to that location. She just cannot have contact with Miss Finesse.
And I'll ask you a yes or no question. Can you do that? Miss Hammond, go back with no contact with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's do that. It will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1, and you'll have to sign up with them, and that'll be what, $1,500 on each?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then to have no further contact with Aaliyah Finesse, and you can go back to that location as long as you avoid contact with her. And generally, what the bond order is going to say, that you can't be within 2 football fields of her. Hopefully, you can do that safely. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond, and they have free anger.
2 anger awareness classes.
They have two, right? 2 anger awareness courses. They are free through pretrial services, so they will tell you how to sign up for those. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Okay.
Kind of confused. Is there 1 charge or 2 charge?
I thought it was 2. No.
No, I thought it's just 1. That's what's
Wait,
on the add-on.
let me just go back and double check. No, it is 1 count of simple battery. So
just 1 count.
$3,000 signature bond. My apologies, Miss Lewis. Thank you.
Just want to make sure I got this right. And there's no stay away no more?
No, we'll remove the stay away as long as she has no further contact.
Okay.
All right, so what's this bond?
3,000 on the 1 charge. 3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1.
And this per judge too.
Per judge. All right.
Can we do position 3, the waive?
Okay. This is 25 CR 000-513E, Danielle Chapman, charged with 1 count of driving while license suspended or revoked, willful obstruction, and failure to obey a stop sign.
32. Got open possession of a firearm by a convicted felon in Superior Court. Open battery DV, 2nd subsequent conviction in Superior Court. 2022 probation FTA, another 2022 FTA. 2021 driving without a valid license. 2019 suspended license no low. I got another battery conviction. 09 suspended license fleeing an officer conviction. That's it.
State.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant also has an FTA that he was arrested on, which is one of those Superior Court cases. It's 23 SC 192045. So he was arrested on that FTA yesterday as well as these charges. This happened back on December 31st of 2024 at Oakland Drive. The defendant failed to stop at a stop sign. The officer pulled over the vehicle. The defendant then exited the vehicle and fled on foot. The officer then went to the passenger of the car, Shanta Evans, who gave the defendant's name. The officer then matched the defendant to the Georgia terminal, and the photo that was on his mobile data terminal, he did recognize him as the same person that just ran from him, and the defendant's license was suspended. The defendant's bond is currently was preset by magistrate court at a $4,500 surety bond, $1,500 on each count. We'd ask, because of the FTAs, the previous convictions for no license, the battery convictions, and the fact that he has an FTA on an open felony case, that bond remain as set, $1,500 per count, no driving without a valid license, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask that Your Honor consider giving him a signature bond through the jail. He's being held on the FTA for the felony anyway. He doesn't even have a court date set, is my understanding. I do understand he does have a history, but these charges are pretty old and they're non-violent. And so I'm just asking that you consider setting a signature bond through the jail so he can possibly get out once he resolves the FTA. I assume it's going to be a high bond on that.
Well, due to the several FTAs within the last 5 years, it's a bail restricted offense at this point. So he's going to have to get the FTAs disqualify him according to the statute.
It doesn't disqualify from pretrial through,
You said through the jail, so he would be ineligible.
And I understand that. So, I mean, if possible, Your Honor, if we can set it through pretrial, like I said, he doesn't even have a bond set on the FTA, and I assume it's going to be high. He did explain that he does have a private attorney who's going to be representing him on this after today, and also a private attorney on the felony, and that he had COVID and wasn't able to let his attorney know that he couldn't come to court. So that was the reason for the felony FTA, was what he told me and asked me to relay to the court.
And Your Honor, not to be funny, but the case is a year old because he ran. He literally ran from the officer. But for that, we wouldn't be here a year later.
Understood.
All right, I understand, PD Admin. So I'm going to leave it at the 4,500 surety, 1,500 each, and no driving. It sounds like he doesn't have a valid license anyway. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that's it, right?
That's all for the state.
Oh, yeah, us too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then the next one is position 8. Waiver. Are you okay, Ms. Lewis?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. This is position 825 CR 0000516C. Nicholas Ramsdale, charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting. Pretrial.
12, 2023, possession of meth, suspended license, giving false name out of Cobb. He had a 2022 shoplifting that was dismissed, 2022 FTA, 2019 suspended license NOLO, 2018 and 19 probation, 2016 obstruction conviction. I wanted out of Cobb County. This is jail. That's it.
Okay. State.
This happened January 29th, 2025 at Walmart at 844 Cleveland Avenue. The officer was working an extra job. Asset protection observed him shoplifting. The defendant attempted to exit the building, was detained by asset protection. $38 of Pokemon cards were found in his pocket belonging to Walmart. This is a bail restricted offense because of the FTA in Carroll County in 2022. The defendant currently has a $600 surety bond on this case and a foreign hold. We ask the bond remain as set. Stay away from the Walmart located at 844 Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
And I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Ramsdale. He is 33 years of age, lifelong resident of Atlanta, Fulton County. Mr. Ramsdale does have his GED. He's currently employed at Naylor Electric as an electrician for the last 7 years. The father of 2 children, ages 2 and 14. This is a nonviolent offense. I believe only heard one prior shoplifting incident in his history. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond.
I think he's restricted on that. So I would go ahead and leave it at the $600 surety. And stay away from the Walmart 844 Cleveland Avenue. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that's it.
Yep, that's all for the state. I believe that's all the cases on the calendar. If we can go through the calendar, Your Honor.
Yeah, that concludes the calendar.
Yeah.
I'll go over the calendar. Everybody know the reset date is gonna be February the 13th of 2025 at 9 o'clock. So when I say reset for SAP, I won't say the date. I'll just say SAP, so y'all already know the date. Position number 1 is a total of a $3,000 SOB through pretrial level 1, 2,000 on the battery, 1,000 on the cruelty to children. Position number 2 is a total of a $6,500 SOB through pretrial level 1.
And that's per judge too.
That's
I
per
meant to
judge?
say that, yes.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that now.
I have a question.
Judge, we have Miss Felicia on the line again. I guess she has a question regarding about a case.
Yes, ma'am. For Javon Swint, I wanted to mention I was talking with his family that he has a history of alcohol substance abuse. And we wanted to know if there was a way for him to get help or treatment through alcohol substance, because I know that we mentioned he can't have alcohol, but we've tried him stopping alcohol, but he goes through withdrawals and sweats. And we also believe that maybe the root of the problem for the anger management as well that he's having to take as well, and also the reoccurrence of the violence and things.
No, I wish you would have said that when the case is being heard and when he was out. He's gone back to his cell, so I don't usually revisit or go back with other facts. So you can talk to the family. I mean, they should try to get him in there, but I'm not going to add any of that to the order.
Oh, okay.
The case has already been heard.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to the calendar. Go back to the calendar. Position number 2 is a total of $6,500 SOB through pretrial level 1 per judge is 3,000 on charge 1 and 2 and 500 on charge 3. Position number 3 is a total of $4,500 surety. It still remains the same, $1,500 on each charge. Position number 4 is a $2,000 SOB through the jail. We set further notice. Position number 5 is a total of $1,000 SOB through pretrial level 2. We set further notice. That's $500 on each charge. Position number 6 is a total of $5,000 SOB through pretrial level 1 is $1,000 on each charge. Position number 7 is a $5,000 cash bond only, $1,000 cash on each charge. Position number 8 is a $600 surety. We set for SAP 213.25. And I don't know if I said position number 7 should reset for SAP also. Position number 9 is a $5,000 SOB through pretrial level 2. We set further notice. Position number 10 is a $3,000 surety, $1,500 on each charge. We set for SAP. Position number 11 is a total of $5,000 surety, $2,500 on each charge. reset for SAP. And that completes the calendar. Any question? Oh, and the add-on, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Add-on is a $3,000 SOB through pretrial level 1 per judge. And that completes the county. Corrections or?
No,
Nope, we got it all.
Nothing from the state. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank
All
you.
right,
All right,
Judge, I'm getting
thanks.
send that stuff over quickly as possible.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you,
All right,
everybody.
bye, everybody.
Everyone.